Question. I hate Tennessee. Welcome to the KSR Football Podcast presented by Justice Dental. You're looking at four folks who hate Tennessee because they are low down, they're dirty, they're snitches. We don't like to generalize here, but Tennessee fans are collectively the worst group of humans ever? I think ever. Is that safe to assume, Drew Franklin? Is that fair?
They're number one on my power rankings, that's for sure.
Yeah. And somehow you're related to one of them.
He's included.
Yeah. Real scumbag stuff. Adam Luckett did not have to grow up next to them like Freddie Maggard did. Freddie, did you ever feel dumber when talking with Tennessee fans?
You know what's the worst is people that grew up Kentucky fans for like 20 years of their lives, and then all of a sudden they're, naming their dog Smokey and wearing orange crap everywhere. And, yeah, it's bad. I mean, Whitley County, Corbin is bad, and then Middlesboro, then over my area, you get some Tennessee and some Virginia Tech. Tech people are nice, but Tennessee people, I mean, I know a few of them that have been Tennessee for life, and I like them, like Tony Petrosky and some other guys. I mean, that's just who they are. But the ones that change later in life, they're out in my list.
It's like when a bunch of people in Louisville became Indianapolis Colts fans because Peyton Manning was there, right? Like you can't just because Peyton Manning's over there doesn't mean you got to cheer for that good-for-nothing program. I don't know. I almost hate Tennessee as much as I love Justice Dental, but I actually think I do love Justice Dental more. It's really close, but Justice Dental, they're great. It's convenient for all the folks in Central Kentucky, whether you want to go to one of their convenient locations on Blazer or Wellington. Proud presenting sponsors of the KSR Football Podcast. It's so easy to book an appointment with Justice Dental. You can visit them online at justicedental.com. You can call them at 859-543-0700, or you can text that number and set up an appointment today, whether you just need to get in the rotation, get some cleaning, or maybe you're wanting to really upgrade your smile with maybe Invisalign, veneers, whatever you need, they'll take care of you at Justice Dental. Your one stop for your smile restoration. Justice Dental, great friends of the KSR Football Podcast, great people because they're not Tennessee fans. It's really hard to go one and the same, and it's one of those things that I learned to hate Tennessee. It wasn't something I just like. It was, I knew how gross and disgusting they were. I knew it was a bad idea to wear that color around, but I didn't really learn to hate Tennessee until that stupid game in 2007 when I had to hear people like Donovan singing Rocky Top on and on and on, and then Lona Sieber gets his field goal blocked in overtime. Look, we were this close to that upset, and I was scarred for life by that song, man. It's basically the soundtrack to hell.
Yeah, I think a lot of the fan angst has to do with what Freddie's saying. Like people that grew up in that portion of the state that had to just deal with that Tennessee dynamic, especially with when they were good, like top of the top. They're
long time ago when they were good. Long time ago.
And then I think another part of it, Nick, is like you just talked about. There's been a lot of games where Kentucky felt like they should have won and didn't, and they've got it thrown in their face by Tennessee fans, whether they were at the game or friends or online. So there's a lot of that animosity going on, plus a border battle that these teams have been playing for forever. Geography, so the teams are really close. And it's just, this feels like Mark Stoops has done a lot of good here, but this feels like the one where he hasn't had as much success as he probably should have in this series. Look at Florida, what they're doing. South Carolina, Missouri, he's had a winning record against both of them. Louisville got that series turned around in a big way. But this is kind of the last final piece of the permanent opponents that he plays every year. This is the one that I think the Kentucky fan base wants a lot. And I think it also, like some of the comments we're getting both on the board and on Twitter, I think a lot of that has to do with just history, just battered history with this team. Expecting the worst to happen. And for that to change, Kentucky's got to go and beat Tennessee a few times.
Yeah, that logo has been present for many bad days in my fandom. That's what we've dealt with. But, you can take a step in the right direction by securing a big win this fall. Kentucky has not beaten Tennessee since 2017 at home. They did knock them off back in 2020 when Tennessee was ranked. And the one fan who's just yelling, "Another pick six! Another pick six!" I think Jerry Garantano just threw another interception. That was a lot of fun. This year's game is going to have a much different feel to it, I'd imagine. You know what, though? I gave Donovan a hard time. He does seem like one of the ones who isn't that bad, but he also asked, is the SEC basketball race just between Kentucky and Tennessee? Isn't that weird that, Drew, I can't imagine Tennessee fans. I thought they were a women's basketball school, not a men's basketball school.
It has been weird to see them recently flexing their basketball muscles. When Pardon My Take took over KSR this summer, there was a lot of Tennessee bragging about how they good at basketball now. That's so weird. I think they're middle of the pack in both. But I do find it interesting talking about that 2020 win. That was so fun. My boy Bossman Fat making plays. Hold him to 7 points in Knoxville. But looking at it, Tennessee has scored 99 points in the 2 years since. So as fun as that year was, got to do some cleaning up on defense this week to avoid a third straight disaster, because letting them get 44 and 45 points again, can't be having that, or it's going to be a long weekend.
99 points.
99 points is a lot. I have a little assignment for you guys on this podcast.
89, but
89? Sorry. 99 sounded better. What was it, 45, 40? Yeah, that's 89. Wait, it's a lot of points. Sorry, 89, 99, 79, way too damn many. But
don't give them that much credit.
I come to the podcast with an assignment today, boys.
Oh.
I've said on this morning's show on KS Board, check it out, I'd pick Tennessee right now. But I think we got about 50 minutes to change that. I know Luckett and Freddie will talk a lot of ball. Nick, you've already got that hate going in my heart. Got those butterflies going a little bit. So if you all will, for the next less than an hour now, please get me all the way on the right side of this with more hatred and explaining a little of how the football has changed with Tennessee running the ball down there now. By the end, I want to pick the Cats.
I think we can understand that assignment. I think we can get to it. Because I would just start by saying, hey, Tennessee has Joe Milton as their quarterback. Oh. Ooh, I'm shaking. Joe Milton's going to throw it 150 yards outside of the stadium. Ooh. It's not scary. He's Joe Milton. He's going to sail past 20 feet over somebody's head. And you know what? The only thing that would scare me is if I'm sitting in that front row, because you might get knocked out by an errant football, all right? Joe Milton, not good. 2, Freddie, we know this Tennessee team likes to run the football. You know who's pretty good at stopping the run? Kentucky Wildcats.
Kentucky right now, against the run, only giving up 95 yards a game. So that's one of the advantages for Kentucky. Drew, I'm leaning towards you today from the show. I need to be changed too, because that Missouri loss to me was very disturbing. And I have concerns about this team that is more than structural or X and O. So hopefully I'll get that. But, for years, going back to what you said about the rivalry, for many people, the older people, and there's probably not many watching on the YouTubes, but Tennessee was the rivalry. To me, Louisville was still not a rivalry. I mean, I don't hate Louisville because I didn't play against them. But Tennessee, you got to realize during that time, there was, both teams were filled with players that were recruited by both, right? And Tennessee had Johnny Majors and Phil Foreman had a great trick. They would call you on your visit, or you would call them, whatever, and say, go look where the basketball team lives and sleeps, and then go look where you sleep and call me back. I mean, that flipped a lot of guys because it was true then. But, yeah, it's a rivalry that, I don't know, it's just something about Tennessee that's just been a thorn in Kentucky, and got to get past that. But I look at this matchup, and I don't like it. I'm sorry, Millie. I don't like the matchup. Neither does Millie.
Millie, you got a dog named after Joe Milton?
Oh, no. Yeah. Oh, no. That's a bad sign. I know how we can change your fortune, though, Freddie. We can go get on PrizePicks right now. It's a great app that you can get in on the action with daily fantasy. And what's great is right now there's a lot of sports happening. It's not just football. So just go and log into that app, pick 4-6 players. you pick more, you pick less. And if your combination hits, you can win up to 25 times your money in any entry. 25 times on your entry, whether you're mixing between Monday Night Football or you're fading Kirk Cousins, primetime Kirk Cousins, and then you're calling out Jose Altuve to get a big hit in Game 7 of the ACLS. Hell, they even got NBA starting this week, and they're going to be offering free squares for you to string together some big-time combinations. Like I said, up to 25 times your money on any entry. Just pick 2 to 5 or 6 players, string them together. It's in 31 states nationwide. Get in on the action this season with PrizePicks, and when you use the promo code KSR when you sign up, you're going to get a 100% instant deposit bonus up to $100. So download the PrizePicks app, promo code KSR. Get in on the action today with PrizePicks. Look it, I know Freddie, so I guess we're going to have to be the ones that are really talking them into it. And I think part of what you meant, Fred, like if you take out the X's and O's side of it, there is like our friend Bagel. Like if y'all aren't on KS Board, y'all probably don't know Bagel. You need to get in on KS Board and meet Bagel, because I don't know how to describe Bagel, but he is just a character unlike any other. We actually need to meet Bagel. We need to get to the bottom of who he is as a human. But Bagel McCoy is an interesting fellow, and he made the point during we had a thread going of Mark Stoops' comments how do you all listen to blah 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 blah. Basically this is coach speak. Did you sleep through it like I did? But the thing about this coach speak is that when wading through some of it, I do get the sense that even I don't know if he's just trying to portray or project that confidence in his team, but I do get the sense that the panic, the disturbing, the nature of which Kentucky just completely flamed out against Missouri, that really struck, just hit us in our souls and got everybody so damn flustered. I don't think Mark Stoops, I think he still likes his team in spite of that, and that the way Kentucky lost did not rattle him nearly as much. Are you buying that? Because I sort of am, and that's why I'm getting off the mat this week ahead of this big Tennessee game.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of that there, but I also think he had maybe a fragile team after that game. So you got to kind of rebuild their confidence, and that's the one thing you worry about, because this game's going to come down to the fourth quarter, and can Kentucky make the plays to go win the game? I mean, we don't know. Florida Vanderbilt game really didn't come down to that. That was the first time we really saw Kentucky in kind of a pressure cooker situation, was against Missouri, outside of maybe EKU, and they just did not handle it well. Now they got a couple tough breaks in there, and so that was unfortunate, but you still got to play through that kind of stuff, and they just didn't handle the adversity well. And for what, that doesn't have to define you. You can kind of reset and figure out what you need to do as a team, but that is concerning to see. That was what we saw when a big moment. They just kind of had a meltdown. But for this week, Nick, I think it's very important to recognize that this is not Tennessee last year. This is not Tennessee's offense 2 years ago. I've already seen it. People just already waving the white flag, assuming that Tennessee's just going to walk in here and score 42 points. They've played 3 Power 5 teams, Nick. Florida, Texas A&M, and Bama. I think Kentucky's defense is in the ballpark with all 3 of those. They scored 20 points, and 16 points. This team it's not the offense they've had the last 2 years. They're having some trouble in big games, and they have not been good on the road here lately with Heupel for whatever reason.
Drew, do you know what their record is in their last 6 road games?
No, but if you do, please tell me about it, because I have a feeling it's not great.
It's not.
Let's see. Yeah, we got Florida. We got Alabama. I know those two.
Those were losses.
Yeah. Where else have they gone this year?
They did go to one place and get a win, but it's actually in their state, and it only holds 8,000 people. So that's their only win on the road in their last 6 road games. They got blitzed by South Carolina. I want to say, if they're giving 30 points per game, the other teams are scoring.
Yeah.
And have they scored more than 20 in the last 3 road games? I don't think so.
Yeah, South Carolina. I mean, you have to go back to last year. Like Vanderbilt and South Carolina, they scored more than that, but they gave up a 50 burger plus some cheese there in Columbia. But you have to look at all that, and then you have to look at, all right, Tennessee's a flawed team with a flawed passing offense. Joe Milton's got one of the worst explosive passing rates in college football. Like
the guy with the guy with the big arm. No, there's no way. No.
That's a team coming into your house. You're coming off a bye. The spread is 3 points. I mean, Vegas is telling you they think it's pretty close to pick 'em. Like, that's a game you should expect to win, and that's a game you need to go out and win. Bottom line. And so, let's see what happens. But I don't this is not Kentucky's not just. It's not it would be some crazy upset if they went out there and won. And I just think we should talk like that before the game instead of crowning Tennessee, which I think some people are doing. And they really have no reason to be crowned. I mean, they're having the same issues Kentucky is in a lot of ways, if we're going to be honest. Penalties, composure, disappointing season from their super senior quarterback. They're having some of the same problems Kentucky's had.
Yeah. I need to relax some, but because Drew, all I want to do is just make fun of Joe Milton, their dumb head coach.
We can do that.
That's
fun. But remember Joe Milton this summer was like the best player in the history of college football when he'd already failed 5 times. But Jordan Rodgers said he's the best quarterback in the country among many other people. And now look at him. That Joe Milton.
That one, yes.
Couldn't win the job at Michigan or win the job when he got to Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
Oregon. And now they're just stuck with him, but suddenly, just because he got a year older, magically he's a good quarterback this summer. That Joe Milton?
Right, but he's not a good quarterback still now. He's just very, very average. The guy who can throw it 120 yards but can't complete a pass 20 yards down the field. That Joe Milton. We need to remember that because I think to Luckett's point, we saw Kentucky secondary, especially in 2-minute situations. I think we're a little bit frazzled by that pass defense. But you know what? The other part of this choking too is Jalen Hyatt suiting up for the Vols this weekend?
Nay.
I don't. What about Cedric Tillman? Are they?
No.
He's not walking through that door. Okay. Just wanted to be clear. This Kentucky secondary, they do have something to prove, particularly in the back end. But Freddie, we've seen the cornerbacks be playmakers. Maxwell Harrison, Drew Phillips got picked on a little bit, but you know what? I'm not willing to throw out the first 6 games of the season just because the last one was bad for Phillips. So I don't think it's one of those where I'm just automatically going to pencil in, 10 big plays, right? Just, hey, maybe don't give up a 60-yard touchdown on the first play. Let's start there, and if we can not dig that hole to start the game like the last 2 years, then you can get back on the right path.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. This Tennessee offense is not as dynamic as before, averaging 438 total yards, which is 5th in the league, but last year 526. I mean, it's a big difference. And in the past, 326 last year, 221, so a huge drop-off. The concerns I have are the potential for explosiveness, but I don't think Tennessee is very explosive. The defense, the Tennessee defense, I think, is a lot better than people are giving credit to. James Pierce is a dude. I mean, I really like that guy. And to the question, the guy that paid us about Tyler Barron, Tyler Barron is good.
He's a dude. Yeah.
But Omar Norman Lott, to me, looked better in the Alabama game than Barron, So, I don't know. They got some dudes and a lot of havoc. That always concerns me with Kentucky. Tennessee, 28 sacks is 3rd in the league. 57 tackles for loss, 3rd in the league. 25 passes defense, 3rd in the league. That concerns to me a lot. Back to your question, and in the prior podcast, we talked about the corners and safeties. I sent you all these numbers. Phillips and Harrison, the 2 corners, 72 tackles, 2.5 tackles for loss, 5 interceptions, and 5 pass breakups. That's getting it done. Drew had a little rough outing last week, but the corners have played great. How about Childress and Lovett combined? 43 tackles, 0 tackles for loss, 1 PBU. those are the numbers that describes what we've been talking about in the last 2 or 3 podcasts about the corners are playing great or better, way better than we expected. But where's this safety crew that's supposed to be the strength of the defense?
And I think to Freddie's point, how Tennessee is winning games, I think if that game breaks out like a low-scoring slugfest, I think Mark Stoops and his coach, that's where they're more comfortable if a game breaks out like that. I think they actually probably like that about how that game could break out this year. And then, I think safety's been one of the bigger disappointments. I think, Andrew Phillips had a rough game against Missouri. But him and Hairston are both, I don't question their effort level at all. And they're playing hard, and they seem like they're in the right spot. Where the safeties, it's like sometimes I'm like, are they even on the field? Like you don't even see them. Like what's going on? That's concerning because we thought Lovett and Childress both could bring up some making splash plays to the defense, and that has not been the case at all. And then you're down Jalen Geiger. That means Ty Bryant's your next man up, true freshman. That has been, you can make the argument up there with the passing game. That's probably 1A, most disappointment development of this season.
Yeah, not having good safety play is not what you want going into the Tennessee game because they can expose you, even though they've not done so. I watched the Alabama game again, and what's his name? Squirrel scored on a vertical. He was matched up against the linebacker. Same play that Tennessee hit Kentucky in 2021 with DeAndre Square. Same exact play. So they can provide mismatches. And it worries me that the Kentucky safeties have not played at the level we think they were going to play. And if they struggle Saturday, they will boat race the Cats. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and the run game, too, for how they split you. You got to make there's going to be times where they crease the front, and your safety's got to make a tackle in space.
Yep, open field tackling. Oh, there was also a lot of talk this week, too, Luckett. It's like, hey, guys just got to make plays. Like, a lot of this time it ultimately comes down to if it's one-on-one, your guy has to beat that guy, right? Whether it's the receiver catching the pass, the safety making the tackle in the open field, not getting beat at the point of attack, right? Like some of this is just basic stuff that Kentucky has to be more consistent. Freddie, I did look up. You mentioned Pierce and Barron. Pierce is third with 7 sacks in the league. Barron has 5, and that's good enough for 7th. There's also a guy named Edgerrin Cooper that has 6 sacks. Haven't heard a guy named Edgerrin since James. Do we think he's named after the Colts running back?
He's a stud. He could be.
Edgerrin is I just never only heard that name one other time.
I don't know Edgerins.
Yeah, not a lot of veterans out there. I don't really like the Colts other than I like the fact that they cover at home. Shout out to that. Shout out to the covering Colts at home. I don't want to completely derail this football podcast, but I do need to share a story with you all, and it's not completely off topic. We're gonna talk plenty of Tennessee. We're gonna answer some of your questions in the chat. There's some follow-up business we need to attend to as well. But football coaches do some weird stuff for motivational purposes. Freddie, do you know who Jeff Traylor is?
Negative.
So Jeff Traylor, he coaches the Roadrunners of Texas San Antonio. They play in the Astrodome. They started 1-3. They've been really good the last couple of years, but their offense was shaky after former Louisville Trinity guy Will Stein moved on to Oregon. But they've won 3 in a row. He wants to keep the team. He wanted to keep the momentum going, right? But he didn't want them to fall into a trap, right? This is like Nick Saban rat poison. So instead, he said, don't eat the cheese, and he put a mousetrap in every player's locker. We've heard this before, right? Like coaches, they do this dumb gimmicks. 112 of them passed out. Well, so what did one player do? They put one of the mousetraps on his podium. He snapped it, and he caught one on his finger. So one coach was busy kicking a Gatorade cooler. The other one was trying to motivate his team in another way and instead got a mousetrap on his hand. Jeff Traylor just football coaches. God love them. God love them. I mean, I God love.
I think you got to go full football guy mode at that point and just leave it on your finger the rest of the week. Just leave that mouse trap to keep the message going.
And snap it to your shirt and just have it dangling from you the whole week.
I saw Drew fight through the pain and shake 814 hands with a finger that's half cut off. So Drew Franklin played through the pain at Keeneland, and I was an eyewitness.
I was trying to lead with the left, but left-handed handshakes, those are weird. I just had to suck it up and play.
How's it looking? Is it
You want to see it
back to normal?
Is it YouTube approved? Do you want me to reveal?
Oh man, gross. What if we go?
I'm fine though. I'm all good.
Okay, you're good.
Really, this is such a blogger complaint. It only hurts when I have to capitalize letters because that's my shift key finger. So I keep it wrapped and padded just to be able to type. Otherwise, I'd be 100%. But capital words, quotations, it still holds me back. But I'm all right. I'll be ready by Saturday. What's our injury report? I wasn't there for Stoops today. Do we got any? We all good? We got some Will C's.
Looks like Geiger's out. That's about all we got.
Yeah.
All right. The depth chart looked like another copy paste, so that was right.
Well, we put "or" next to Jagger Burton's name.
That's
so
true.
There was an acknowledgement that he didn't play last week. There also was we're getting healthier. I don't like how much he's complimenting David Rayner like it because it makes me think that we're going to see more of David Rayner and I want to see more of Trevin Wallace, but maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
Yeah, your guess is as good as mine, what the severity of Trevin Wallace's injury is. We got more word how Berrien has been playing through an injury, and he pretty much said he's not practicing or is limited practicing, and that's hurting the issue. And then he's getting frustrated in games because he doesn't have, I guess, the built-in reps, so there's some rust or whatever. So that was about the biggest injury update I think we got today, was that Berrien's been playing through an injury and that they were pretty banged up, and they are healthier now than they were when they took the field against Missouri.
We do need one other update. Chaka Cummings was asking us in the YouTube chat. Freddie, did we get a new tattoo this weekend? The people want to know.
No, I didn't get enough. I only got 2 or 3 suggestions. So.
Come on.
Well, come up with a good one, and I'll roll with it. I don't care. What do I got?
Does that mean I'm the winner? I sent you the big Kroger's.
That's it.
That's
it.
Wrist tat.
Well,
okay.
That's it.
Maybe we need something like some steaks, not like steaks that you eat medium rare.
Yeah.
But if the Cats beat Tennessee.
Oh no, I ain't. No. That means I'd have to have confidence in Kentucky beating Tennessee, and as of right now, I don't. But I'm not putting a T on my body.
No. God.
I read Dante's Inferno this weekend, so I'm a little bit freaked out about hell right now. So, no T's on this body.
I wouldn't ask my worst enemy to do that.
All right.
Yeah. I do like Shaka's 606 suggestion too. That was another good idea. Why are you reading Dante's Inferno too? Are you trying to get spooky season, Halloween stuff?
Dude, I can't play golf because my wrist is bad. I really don't have any hobbies, so I picked up poetry. So I went to the Kentucky Book Fair and picked up, 8, 9 books, and that was one of them. I've always wanted to read it. I always heard about it, and I sat down. I didn't watch a snap of football on Saturday, not one play, and I read the entire day. And yeah, a lot of fun. I'm a big poetry guy. I bet y'all didn't know that, right?
No, you're a poet and you didn't know it. Huh?
That's a very Nick Roush response.
I know. I can't help myself. I'm sorry. I can't. Are you, Freddie? Do you like spooky movies at all, or are you out on?
Not really. I don't know. I mean, I like Halloween, the one that the rock singer guy did recently.
Oh, the Rob Zombie one.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. But I'm not a big, and I've watched a few of the Texas Chainsaw Massacres, and I like those. But other than that, not really. No.
My kids are a big fan of Halloween decorations, so we got spider webs out in the front yard. A lot of spooky. It's going to be spooky Saturday for Josh Heupel too. And if you want to be there for that, Mark Stoops, he asked the Big Blue Nation to show up and be loud, to bring it. because Kroger Field has been rocking this year. They need it again Saturday night. If you don't have your tickets yet, download the Gametime app right now. It's very easy. You just push the button, boom, you've got the Gametime app. You can scroll through. You can find your seats. It's a sellout, but you can still get your tickets with the Gametime app, and you can get $20 off your first purchase with Gametime when you put in promo code KSR before making that first purchase, whether it's to go watch the Cats and get rowdy at Kroger Field, or you're going to a concert, show, comedy show, whatever it may be. Gametime is your hookup, the fastest growing app, the fastest way to get tickets. 2 clicks, that's it. You'll have the tickets on your phone just like that. Do it to it. Be there, because here's the thing, folks. I know that we were kind of talking last week about the season's halfway there. No, there's 2 more times you can go to Kroger Field this year. That's it. And one of them is a Saturday night against the Tennessee Volunteers. You want to be there if the Cats can get this win, because it's like it. I know there's a lot of and Freddie's kind of there. A lot of people are there. They're having a hard time getting off the mat. But if there's a win this Saturday, you can really dream big. And the other part of it for me is I'm pretty confident. I can say with confidence Kentucky's probably going to go 2 or 3 in those 3 road games. So to have that 8-win season in hand, if you beat Tennessee and Florida at home and you go 8-4, if that's kind of the path, I don't know too many folks that are going to be complaining a whole lot about that. You can get a lot back by winning Saturday against the Vols.
Well, I don't know about that necessarily, but yeah, I think if you win this game, it's the ultimate swing game, the biggest game on the schedule at this point, because if you win this, Nick, we've talked about this a lot, people remember what you do in November. So what were you doing in November? Were you playing in big games, or were you winning games, or were you playing in kind of meaningless games? And that's a swing here for Kentucky. And just to put it bluntly, you have a chance to beat Kentucky beat Tennessee and Florida in the same season. When's the last time they've done that?
Ooh.
We're talking in the 80s, bare minimum. I know that's been something we've pulled before.
That's very much a Corey Price set, but yeah, I thought it was going to be a quick one. It was not. It's been a long time.
So, that's a big deal, and so I think it gets everybody on the same page. And then you have to, if you win this one, you have a chance to set up a huge home game with Alabama, ranked versus ranked. It's a huge game, and things have gone really sideways for them in more ways than one, even some off the field. If they can get a win here, I think it gets a lot of people back pulling in the same direction, and then you can start dreaming big again. But a loss here, and then things really got a chance to really unravel on this team towards the end of the year. And so it's just a huge, huge game just from that regard. And then you look at it, and it's not a game I think Kentucky should walk into and be like, well, I don't know if they're going to win this one. It's a game the circumstance and the situation, it's a game you should expect them to win. I don't care what team is on the other sideline. Just you got to get over the fact that the other team has an orange T on their helmet. It's a game Kentucky should go out and win. Now, whether they do
77's
another thing.
Sorry, 77 is the correct answer with my quick research, which is probably wrong since I thought 99 was 89 just a few minutes ago.
There you go.
Ooh. 77. What were you doing in 1977, Freddie?
I was getting ready to start my Little League career for the Braves and win 2 titles. So, how about that?
Well, that means some time has passed. Enough time that Kentucky needs to get this done on Saturday. And I did want to go back to the running game, though, because Mark Stoops made a comment today that along the lines, I'm paraphrasing here, but, could we run the ball 20 more times a game and have a better chance to win? Maybe, but we need to grow this program. We need to continue to throw the football. And I think this is also, Tennessee's pretty good against the run, so as much as you want Ray Davis to be able to get his, you got to do some throwing and catching. And the way that Stoops has mentioned Demi Sumar Carnbay, I get the sense that that's going to be a part of their wrinkles. It's like, well, if the other guys ain't going to catch it, then we're just going to line up the running backs out there and they can go catch the football. But because whatever we got to do, we got to figure out this passing game in order for us to be the program that we want to be.
Yeah, I think that's for both sides. Like, one of these quarterbacks is going to have to go win the game for their team on Saturday, in my opinion, unless something catastrophic happens. So who does it? Is it going to be Milton or is it going to be Leary? I think both of these offenses will have some success running the football. These are two really good rushing offenses. But over a full game, they're not going to win the game, in my opinion, by running the football. Their quarterback is going to have to go and make some throws at some point. And so which side does that? I mean, I think that's what Mark Stoops was alluding to a little bit in a statement. But overall, I think big picture, Nick, Kentucky did the whole, like, screw the pass game, let's run it. They've done this multiple times, and they've won games. But I don't know that it's helped their program big picture for the same folks and same fans that and the guys inside that program that want to keep climbing that proverbial ladder, that want to get in big games and win. Like, you want to compete with Georgia, you're not doing it running it 40 times. You're not doing it running it 50 times. You're not going to you don't have a prayer if that's like your offensive strategy. If you go into a game with a team like that, with that roster, over a full season, you eventually have to have the quarterback, and you have to be able to go throw the ball. For Kentucky to have a breakthrough season, if they ever get a star, like a next-level star quarterback, they need to have it set up where they have a scheme and a system that they can just plug him in and you can take off like a rocket ship. And I think that's more of what he was alluding to. We have committed to this pro-style Rams, McVay, Shanahan offense. We're going to see through it and work our way through it. And we've got our coordinator that we believe in. We've hired him twice. Dadgummit. I mean, like, they've doubled down here. And so we just you have to work your way through it. Kentucky's always going to have like a ground and pound aspect and a run the ball and play action pass. They're always going to want to run the football. But they do have to be able to pass it. They can't just throw it out. Like, they're going to have to be able to throw the football to win some games. Not only this year, but long term. And I think that's really important for them to not quit on the running game, because you never know when something like this can just click. It might happen Saturday. It might not happen at all, but I think that you at least have to try.
Yeah, and to your point, when you look at the two quarterbacks, I think Joe Milton played decent in the Orange Bowl, but I've also seen him throw a football. It was either out of bounds or he ran out of bounds. I forget how that one game ended.
Ole Miss.
Yeah, where there was trash on the field. You know, there's a lot of garbage cans when you talk about Tennessee football. I mean, how can you not? They are a garbage can of a program. So I've seen Joe Milton do that. I've seen Devin Leary win big games at home, and I know that was my way of segueing into an ad read. But part of this too, Drew, is like the home field aspect of this, keeping the fans engaged. You know, maybe you don't need to start like such a lightning bulb to keep them involved. But if they're just there making life difficult consistently for this Tennessee offense, I feel pretty good about Milton making mistakes in this big environment on the road where we saw what Alabama did in the second half last week. They made Joe Milton go beat them, and Tennessee didn't score another point in the second half. So go do that again. Try to replicate that, Kentucky. Take away the running game. Let the crowd get loud at Kroger Field and try to rattle this guy who can throw the ball 150 yards through nobody's hands.
I've seen some commenters on our thread here say they're worried that the turnout might not be good after the last two games. I don't think that'll be the case, but I do think Stoops was very intentional in talking about that today. He even mentioned creating some havoc for Tennessee's offense when someone asked about communicating with his safeties. So, you know, sometimes you get the generic, we hope the fans are there and want to be a part of it. But Stoops went out of his way in the press conference and on the show tonight to talk about how they can really disrupt Milton and get in his head. And I think the start of that Florida game when he told them to pound beers, I know it was fun because he said pound beers. That place was rowdy as hell for an early game, and that matters. And the fans saw it and heard afterwards when all the players kept talking about it. So they have to recreate that again.
So does he just tell us to like smash some bottles? Like, do we need?
He should just wink, like do it again. Y'all know what you need. Just do it.
Well, because that feels like that was an eternity ago, right? Like that.
Yes.
Like, that just feels like that happened 6 months ago. It was 3 weeks ago. Everybody, like we can, but I don't know. It feels like it's going to take. I'm not worried about people showing up, But I am worried that there might be a little bit of malaise in the atmosphere. And if the weather doesn't cooperate, like, are people going to still turn out in full force and really rock that house on Saturday night? I don't know.
I do worry the people there will be like quick to tap out if something goes wrong early. I mean, those people I saw in halftime Missouri that were losing their mind, if there were to be, some fake or some mistake or early penalties, I think the groans and the boos will be way too loud in a game like this where you need the crowd in the whole time. I think people will be quick to check out if something goes wrong early.
Yeah, I think the place will be juiced up, but I think what you will worry about is just, like, right, what Drew said, if something goes wrong or if it gets tight late, then you just get nervous because who you're playing on the other side. And then I think the team feels that. Because I've been in that stadium when it gets tight. A lot of times it came against teams like a Tennessee or a Florida where there was something hovering, like a team that they just could not knock off. So that's what I would worry about. I think that place is going to be juiced up and ready to go. But, a lot of that's, Stoops can ask all that, but a lot of that's just, it's on the team. Like, at the end of the day, they got to go play better than Tennessee. Like, if they do that, they're going to win the game.
I'm just going to go ahead and say it. Nobody else has said it. This is a make-or-break game in a lot of ways.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not just for the season. This is a make-or-break game for the fans, too. I mean, I think Kentucky fans right now on a little bit of a crossroads, a little bit of a they want to see it. Those last two games, against Georgia and Missouri's kind of put a damper on some stuff, because it wasn't just getting beat by Georgia. It was how they got beat by Georgia. And it wasn't just losing to Missouri. It was self-inflicted errors that just caused a comedy of errors that, just didn't sit well with a lot of people. And this is a crossroad games in a lot of different ways, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, and that's why the sport's so awesome and so many people love it, because you can flip it just like that. This is why college football is awesome, because you get these rivalry games and you go and win them. They just, like, this is a game, it just means more than another win. It means a lot more. Like, this game is would be worth like 6 South Carolina wins. Just considering the circumstance. It would go a long way, and then it would get everybody, I think, juiced up for what could be a fun November. But Freddie's right. If they don't win this, they lose this. It's another SEC East loss at home. Now, that doesn't matter anymore moving forward, but you would have all these losses at home to teams you figured you should beat at home, and they're not winning these games at home. You're looking at a potentially a 6-6, 7-5 type of season, and that's not what you thought. Like, this was supposed to be a bounce-back season from last year. If you don't get it, I mean, it's a huge game from that aspect. I mean, a lot is on the line here. I mean, it's a huge swing game. There's no denying that.
Because then last year isn't such a one-off, right, Freddie? Then you start like adding things up, and you're like, wait, this is going the wrong direction. Yeah,
and I'm gonna add to that, SEC home games at night, big difference. Night games on the road in the SEC are not easy, no matter where you go, right? Missouri game, I mean, that's why that game was so, I don't know how to say it, disgusting. So I don't know. It really impacted me because it was at night. You were favored. You had the better team, and get beat by 17 by Drinkwitz, right? I mean, and the best player on their team has 2 catches for 10 yards, whatever. Tennessee is at night. It's at home and it's at night after Keeneland. That's what I'm saying. The fans are right there on it. I don't think Kentucky actually has to win. I mean, I think Kentucky has to win. But if it plays well and fixes some of these problems, a loss, you could probably move on. But if you have the same thing against Missouri and Georgia, you have that against Tennessee, it's time to stand in line to get in Rupp Arena. I'm sorry, I'm just a realist. That's the way the season's going to go for the fans.
Yeah, I just think it'd be 2 years in a row where I think they would have ruined a really good opportunity with how the schedule kind of set up. And this year more so because they wouldn't set the stage for a bigger game later in the year. Like, you get Alabama at home later in November, and you were 5-0 in Trounce, Florida. You had a chance to really make that game kind of matter on like a national scale and create a big game. And a lot of times these big games, they haven't really gotten them at home. Like, every time they played Georgia when everything was teed up, it was on the road. They played Tennessee last year, teed up on the road. This would have been a big game at home, and that you kind of ruin that opportunity would be highly disappointing. And again, back-to-back seasons, and you made changes, right? You had your scapegoat last year. You had the offensive line and OC scapegoat. You don't have that this year. So why? Like, what's going on that it's not working this year? And then it would be another loss to Tennessee in a game that was very much, I think, kind of a 50-50 matchup entering the game. That would be disappointing. Yeah, I wanted Heath asked shouldn't they win at all costs, and that might mean throwing as much if the run is working, despite today's message from Stoop. Like, he's going to do what it takes to win the game, but they have to get this passing game fixed. Like, this is year 11. They can't, like, keep kicking the can down the road. The way they're recruiting and the way they want to keep building this, they have to get the passing game going. Bottom line. If you don't, you're going to be hurt in recruiting, and you could be hurt from players leaving the roster. If your passing game still continues to not be good, they just have to get it fixed. They've got too many resources invested for it to be this bad. Like, they have to get it fixed, but they have to commit time and energy and all that to get it fixed. They can't just say, "Oh, let's pack it in, guys. Let's play the Iowa offense here and run, punt." Like, they have to be willing to throw and work their way through it, and they're not good enough up front, guys, to go beat teams just running the ball. Like, they're going to pop some runs, but Ray Davis there's going to be a lot of 2nd and 9s if you give him the ball 32 times. There's going to be 2nd and 11s. There's going to be 3rd and 8s. Like, you're going to have to throw the football to beat teams in this league. The fact that they've been able to do that, it's kind of crazy. But they're going to have to, they got to throw the football to win games.
Yeah,
and so they got to you have to figure that out. That's almost like the biggest step they need to take right now is just figuring that out. And then you can go tackle bigger problems.
Well, and I think Heath is also worried. Like, well, does that mean we're not going to run it if it's working? It's like no. If
this is Mark Stoops football, they're going to run the damn rock.
Right.
Yeah.
But his overall point is he's not losing confidence in Devin Leary. Like, that's the outward message he's portraying. Is like, hey, these guys are still decent. We can still throw the football. We're gonna grind our way through this damn thing. And a lot of, like, sadly, I think the part that maybe not Freddie was alluding to, but like, Freddie, you're not alone in being completely, like, I was like this last Monday. I could hardly write a damn word on our website because something about that Missouri game just really sucked the life out of me. There's a lot of people who felt that way. And I think a lot of it is because of the way that the game just didn't even in a loss, when Mark Stoops teams previously lost, it didn't feel just that boneheaded, that dumb. Like, when in doubt, like, they were going to run the football, they weren't going to kill themselves. It was something you know, maybe you weren't proud of, but there were some characteristics to it, and that didn't even feel like a Mark Stoops loss. So, essentially, I think what we're all getting at is the growing pains have just been a lot more painful than I think we anticipated while transitioning to an offense that isn't, you know, from the 70s, right? Like, that does a lot more throwing the ball around the yard. You're just asking a lot for that breakthrough to happen on Saturday night. But if it does, like, you know, Kentucky, like, that's how you can get everybody back, right? It's like you've had this, like, the guys that we talked about all summer that we thought could be good, they've played short of expectations. But, like, they've shown it at some point in their career that they can play good football, right? You just got to go do it. A lot of this analysis, Freddie, that we have, like, it's really just like, go play good football. Like, I mean, I don't know. Like, you're hitting the guys in the numbers. They're dropping it. The plays, they're open. Like, you have to just go do it. The team hasn't done it consistently enough. Will they go do it on Saturday? If they do, they should win this football game. If they don't, then we're going to be yelling and kicking and screaming here again next week, and it's going to get ugly.
I'll just go back to the first 2 drives or the first 4 possessions of the Missouri game. That's the Kentucky that I expected, right? I mean, I think that's the Kentucky that we all expected on both sides of the ball. And then it just flipped. You know, and I use Adam's stats all the time, and I appreciate that, Adam, but it's just not happening. I mean, the tight ends have caught 13 passes this year. Yes, it is the Rams. Yes, this is the 49ers. But no, Kentucky's not using the tight ends. So, I mean, they're doing a great job blocking, But when with the target ratio as lopsided it is to one player, and you're not getting a return on investment in that heavy emphasis on one player, then Kentucky's not spreading the wealth around. I mean, I talked about this on my show with Tom Leach this morning. It's like an investment portfolio, right? You want to spread that money around. You want to spread the football around. Kentucky's not doing that. You're sinking all your money into one fund, and you're not getting returns on it, and you keep doing that instead of spreading it around to the tight ends, spreading it around to the running backs. Give Leary some completions here. And I'm not being critical of one player or the other. It's just this is not the offense that I was expecting. I mean, it's not because of Devin Leary, and Devin Leary has been very disappointing. But he's had very little help, schematically, personnel-wise, and it's just not been the offense that I was expecting. And with that havoc-producing defense on the other side of the field, I mean, I'm having a hard time getting excited about this game, Drew.
Getting excited will be there. I didn't get fully convinced like I hope you all would get me into. But I do agree with what we were just saying, that if they can pull this off, at least me, I can't speak for everyone, I'll forget they even played Missouri. I'll chalk that off as that was just some lingering Georgia of a freak special teams play, and then just everything started collapsing, started spiraling, it gets worse, it's worse. If they can bounce back and beat Tennessee, I don't even care how it looks. I mean, I would love for Leary and the offense to get it going. I would love to see Dane Key and Barron Brown get close to 100 yards each, have a touchdown. But if they just beat Tennessee, at least in my eyes, they're forgiven for what they've done to date. Georgia was always going to happen. It didn't need to be that bad, but it was always going to happen. Missouri didn't happen at all. And Men in Black me, whatever that thing is, it's gone if you beat Tennessee. And you're right back on track to the record I was expecting in the preseason. It's all about winning.
Just win, baby.
Just win. We'll still have problems to fix, win or lose. We'll worry about them next Monday. But beat Tennessee and all these things we've been complaining about, the frustrations we had to carry with us through an extra week with the bye week, at least in my brain, I've forgotten all about it.
100%, Drew. I will wash away last year's Vanderbilt and this year's Missouri if we can somehow beat Tennessee on Saturday. That'll be gone, and I'll be back to normal. But right now, I'm not normal, so deal with it. It's just this is me right now. So again, last week 2 weeks ago disturbed me pretty damn bad. If you can't tell,
it broke all of us. All of us were broken.
Oh, Freddie's microphone tap just cracks me up sometimes.
Sometimes
it just really slaps, But you were talking about investments, Freddie, and I think a great way to invest is to invest in our community, our teachers. Yeah. Eckrich.
Look at that.
They're doing $1 million challenge for teachers. And folks, we've been telling about this to you for like a month. Well, you've only got till the 26th. I'm not good with calendars, but I think that's Thursday, or is that Friday? You've only got till October 26th. That's this Thursday to sign up the teacher in your life for a chance to win up to $1 million at the Alabama game. Go to Eckrich.com, go to the promotions tab, nominate a teacher. You can also click on the post on KSR. All the information's right there. Nominate a teacher in Central Kentucky before October 26th. That is the deadline for them to throw for $1 million to dedicate to their local classroom, to their local school. They'll get a chance to go down that field for the Bama game, throw a ball through a hoop, win $1 million. It's a great opportunity with the extra yard for teachers, a great charity. So please visit Eckrich.com, sign up the teacher in your life. Even if they're bad at football and they can't hit the broadside of a barn, they're going to bring some money back to their classroom thanks to our friends at Eckrich. All right, Luckett, we haven't done a good job convincing Drew. So
you have.
No, but we got to do a better job.
It's the curse. It's the curse. None of it is football related. I was born in 1985. I felt guilty for the streak. I came into this world and we had beaten Tennessee the year before, and then I was almost 30 when I got to see my first Tennessee win. So like many fans, you all too, it's all about looking backwards with this one. It has nothing to do with the actual football. They could roll out a quarterback with no legs, and I would still create a scenario in my head where how they're going to lose that game just because it's happened so many times.
What do you call a quarterback with? What do you call a quarterback with no arms and no legs? Joe.
It's a good one, Nick.
Do y'all know those jokes? Like, what do you call a guy with no
Cook that
arms
one up
and
in the
no
lab all weekend.
No, what do you call a guy with no arms and no legs laying in front of a door? Matt. We call a guy with no arms and no legs leaning on a wall.
Yeah, that's a D-Sales joke if I've ever heard one.
I can do these all day. I can do this all day. Yeah,
Art got me. I'll admit it.
The Joe one was I'm coming off the cuff because Joe Milton, he stinks. Max Harrison, you know what? He might throw more passes to Max Harrison on Saturday than to Squirrel or Chipmunk or whatever the hell they call him. Because Max Harrison, we just need to get the cast off of his hand. Because he'd probably have 2 more picks if we could just get that out of there.
He'll be ready. We'll all be ready.
One thing's got to happen is Kentucky's got to punt the football better.
Yeah.
I mean, field position's killing this team. I mean, let's just since we're all being honest, we're it's just us 4 talking here. Field position has destroyed this team. One of the downfalls, and that's got to change. I don't know if it's personnel. I don't know if it's style of kicking. I don't know. I mean, and I have a punt in the SEC game, so I can talk about this with some expertise here. That needs to get better. And
I don't know how he could go from like being so good to so bad and nothing changed. Absolutely nothing changed. And that's Stoops' thing. He's just like, I mean, because maybe you could question the Aussie change at the beginning of the year, but he was great for a month, and then it's just like.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure he began the year as the starting punter, 2021, and they did the Australian thing, and it didn't go well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I think that's the thing everybody's forgetting in all of this. I don't think they just, said, let's stop doing it. I just don't know how good they were at that before. And, to be honest, everybody wanted Stoops to hire a special teams coordinator. He goes out and hires one, and he's running how he runs it, and people are getting mad. They do have to punt the ball better, but I don't think it's because the guy's not running to the side and punting it, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but like Nick's saying, he has some mishits with the driver off the deck, off the tee. Sometimes he hits the toe of it and then sometimes he can mash it. You got to hope he can find that form back. But yeah, I mean, it's frustrating. It was. I mean, Saturday was frustrating because you just can't just hand the ball to them. And last year in this game, that was an issue. Like Tennessee had the ball 6 times at the Kentucky 40 or better. They had this huge field position advantage in the game. Now part of that's on the offense for not moving the ball, and you got if you're backed up, you got to get first downs to give your punters some room to operate. So I mean, it goes hand in hand. It all works together, but they do need to punt the football better, not just Saturday, but throughout the season. You can't have that.
Well, we could have a situation here like Drew. My son was born right before this game. A year ago, I did not make the trip to Neyland, and so we're having a little first birthday. He's going to smash the cake on Saturday afternoon before I make my way to the Krog. When he smashes that cake, he's just smashing the bad vibes that we got from a year ago. So that's how we get past them, and we can get past them too with some more no arms and no legs joke. Y'all want some more? Sure you do. What do you call a guy with no arms and no legs in a pond? Bob.
Good one.
What do you call a man with no arms and no legs in a pot? Stu. What? These aren't getting a bunch of laughs?
I mean, it's not getting me fired up to take down Rocky Talk.
Okay, Stephen, play my clip against Tennessee. Give us something to laugh about because this joke by Nick is not working out. Ooh.
Was that a safety or a linebacker, Freddie?
That was somebody that I had words with about 30 times in 3 years. Carl Pickens. He and I did not care. Don't exchange Christmas cards. Just put it that way.
Okay.
Yeah, he was a heck of a player, though. I can't take that away from him. But if you noticed, I did not slide, nor did I go out of bounds like those wimps do today. And I'm paying for it. But hey, you know my theory behind that, Adam?
What's that?
I never did slide or go out of bounds, and I tried to inflict as much as I could on the DBs. My thinking was, in the legal way now, because I was 240, right? I mean, I was a pretty big, strong guy. And I put a few of them out of the game, 1 or 2. So my theory was, if I could hurt them before they hurt me, that's advantage us. So that's why I didn't slide. And
Football player.
Yeah, I'm paying for that now, but it is what it is.
Could end up like
that's the only play that we was talking about. That's the only play I have of my entire career at Kentucky is that.
We need to go find you some more highlights.
I'm good.
You won't find one like
Poor Bryce has them out there somewhere.
Good. I don't want to see nobody send it to me because I get too depressed.
Oh, man. Well, I'm just hoping that we aren't too depressed on Monday because this team does have a way of making us get to the depths of our depravity, and we don't need to be there. It sounds like a lot of us got there after that Missouri game. I don't want to see a world where that happens after another game against Tennessee. It's I know it's tough. It's a tough pill to swallow, but you put the shoe on the other foot. You beat this team. You realize, like, okay, Missouri, they might just be pretty good at football, and they got the best of Kentucky after a fake punt and things went awry. So a lot's on the line Saturday. As Peak has us do before we start all of our videos, we got to just we just got to snap it and then just shake it off. I think to your point, though, Luckett, that the best thing that could happen for this team, though, is for them to not only start fast, but if they get punched in the mouth once, to have a counter punch. Because I don't.
That's going to happen. They got to adjust. They got to respond better. I mean, regardless of when it happens, they have to respond better.
But if you can show fans, we're smart, if you can show fans that you have a counter punch, then you're going to keep the crowd engaged for as long as that game's within, a score, right? You're going to have everybody in that game going into the fourth quarter. And really, there's been 2 drives all year where the game has been a game in the fourth quarter. You need to have the fan base engaged at Kroger Field, that thing rowdy when the game is on the line. And it starts by showing that you've got a counterpunch, because that's something we don't know if this team has yet or not.
Yeah, and the defense needs to come to play Saturday night. Yeah. They've given up 80-something points the last 2 games, and this team that they're playing has embarrassed them the last 2 years. The defense needs to come to play on Saturday night. They have a lot to prove in this series. They have been embarrassed by these guys. And so I'm excited to see how they kind of bounce back and play on Saturday.
Yeah, I think Brad White might be taking it personally, Mr. Maggard.
Donovan, Kentucky stinks in the red zone too, so I feel your pain there. Yeah, I mean, Brad White, Mark Stoops, I believe in those guys. I love those guys, and that's why I want them to win so badly on Saturday, is because, 1, I care for them. 2, I love the program and the school and the fans. And 3, it's Tennessee. This is a huge week, and got to get this win.
Well, I went to a preseason event, an off-the-record event, before anything began. Brad White didn't like Tennessee there. I will not repeat what was said, but I can confirm he did not like Tennessee before this 2-week span. So throw in the way his defenses looked, and I agree that he has probably not slept all week getting ready for this one, and will not sleep all week.
And with that to be said, the offense and special teams got to help him out too. Can't give this team short fields. Got to get back to playing complementary football. Because the Missouri game, if you don't look at the scoreboard, you just look at the box score, it seemed like they played pretty good against the top 20 offense. But field position, like Freddie said, absolutely killed them. Absolutely killed them. And you can't have that anymore.
Will it happen? Saturday night, 7 p.m., Kroger Field. Another bright spotlight in primetime at home. It's time for the Cats to deliver a dub. For Adam Luckett, Freddie Maggard, and Drew Franklin, I'm Nick Roush. This has been the KSR Football Podcast presented by Justice Dental.
Carl Pickens was also a safety. Sorry about that.
Go Kroger.